Hi everyone, it's Vivi, and today I'm going to go over some hidden anime gems you might not have heard of. I've done my best to keep the list accessible so you can watch most of these options via streaming sites. So let's get started. If you are of a certain age, you likely remember The Big O airing on Adult Swim. While the show might pull you in because of the big robot, it's definitely more of a film noir combining detective themes with mecha anime. The overarching mystery of the story centers around the protagonist Roger, but also the city itself and the fact that no one has memories before the event 40 years ago that destroyed the world outside of the city. The mech, Big O, that Roger pilots is a relic of the world before the fall, and as the show continues, the mystery unravels. While the show didn't perform well in Japan, it did gain an international fandom, and as such, the show was renewed for a second season. While it is an original anime, the driving force behind it was to sell toys of the mechs. Because of this, the creator, Keiichiro Sato, made Paradigm City an amnesiac city to avoid developing lore for the origin of the mecha. So the mystery of the Megaduces and Paradigm City were even a mystery to the writer. What I enjoyed about the series is the atmosphere, the cinematography and art direction, which were top-notch, and really gave you that classic pulp film noir aesthetic. The designs of the mech were also interesting as they were a departure from the fast and trim designs of other robots seen in Gundam or Evangelion. Instead, these mechs were clunky and slow, but you really felt their weight during the fights as every punch and impact was felt in each scene. Instead of relying on sword fights and hand-to-hand combat, the mechs relied on traditional weapons like missiles, guns, and laser cannons. And while the story struggled a bit in the second season, the mysteries were answered and mostly resolved, though there's still plenty of online discourse about the polarizing ending. Interestingly, there has been more online chatter about the Big O, so perhaps it will make a comeback. If you're looking for obscure but amazing titles, chances are you've heard of Princess Tutu. This ballet-centered anime pays homage to classic works like The Ugly Duckling and Swan Lake. The story centers around a duck that is transformed into Princess Tutu to save the heart of the Storybook Prince. What sets this series apart from other anime is that it's an original work with the manga coming out after the release of the anime. It's no surprise that so many people who actually watch the series end up loving it. It's written by Michiko Yokote, who also worked on Cowboy Bebop, and more recently, Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill. And it was conceptualized by Ikoku Ito, who is the animation director of Sailor Moon. What I like about this anime is its rich and deep story that doesn't talk down to the audience or dumb down its message. It utilizes music, dance, and metaphor to tell its story, and there are real consequences to the actions of each individual. It's a story of hope and love without being too sappy. For something a bit on the lighter side, Tonari no Seki-kun is a perfect palate cleanser anime, as each episode is short but also delightfully humorous. When it released, it did hit a level of virality due to its short-form comedy clips, but it slowly faded into obscurity, likely due to what made it popular in the first place, its short form. The anime is based on a 4-panel or 4-koma manga that follows Rumi Yokoi, who's constantly distracted by the antics of her neighboring classmate, Toshinari Seki, as he indulges in various hobbies. While the manga was quite popular, selling a total of 3 million copies, the anime hasn't held up quite as well. Still, I really enjoy the show just because of the variety of Seki-kun's activities and the varying levels of difficulty in them. One day he might just be trying on glasses, while another day he's crocheting a cactus, something I probably would have done if I learned to crochet in high school. The 8-minute format is a perfect amount of time to build up the tension and also really embrace the ridiculousness of what Seki-kun is doing. We are all Rumi, marveling at this kid's creativity. There's no moral or overarching theme here, and sometimes you don't need that after a long day. Based on an unfinished doujinshi manga, Haibane Renmei follows Raka, a newly hatched Haibane, as she navigates a new life in the city of Glee. There she learns about a mysterious group called the Toga, who are the only ones allowed to enter or leave the city. While it's not really known by general anime fans, for those who have delved further into the anime world, it is a much beloved series due to its soundtrack, visuals, and philosophical notes. I really enjoy that this is a slice of life show that focuses more on character growth and coming to terms with your own issues and coming out the other side a better person. The conflict is mostly within the characters who need to solve an issue, so instead of dealing with this through action, it's done through dialogue and the audience's own interpretation of the events of the series. Nothing is spelled out, perhaps because the writers admitted to the fact that they were making up the story as they went along, but that makes it easier for the audience to create their own narrative based on their own perspective. And if that's not art, I don't know what is. Recently, Haibane Renmei is seeing an increase in mentions and searches due to a major 20-year retrospective thread on Reddit, so hopefully that means a wave of new viewers. Originally a net animation, Kyousougiga eventually became a full anime series made by Toei animation, and ben presto. The story follows Koto and her brothers, Ah and Un, who somehow end up in the mirror city of Kyoto. There, they try to find a way to get back home by looking for a strange rabbit. Along the way, Koto learns that she might have some sort of connection to this mural world. The story has a lot of parallels to Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass in more ways than one. Kyousougiga is a classic case of a good anime overshadowed by an even bigger hit, Kill la Kill. If it had been released at another time, it likely would have been a major hit, but as it is, it understandably flew under the radar. Still, I really enjoyed the vibrant world of the show with its beautiful artwork and scenery. On top of that, it has a great storyline and the characters are all quite likable. While the show isn't straightforward, the narrative is relatively easy to follow and it really focuses on subtext and the animation to get the point across. I really love shows that don't insult the audience's intelligence and instead forces you to think and come up with your own interpretation. If you're a very literal person, the show might come off as just a pretty visual with a focus on the mechanics of the world and characters. But if you pay close attention, it's a much deeper show about the past and the future, and the fact that the future is what you make of it, even if we might be mired in our own issues. It's up to us to work past it and make the best of what we have. Ballet seems to be a difficult sell to the mainstream audience, as evidenced by the relatively low interest in classics like Princess Tutu and MAPPA's more recent Dance Dance Danseur. However, don't let the subject matter or the unique animation scare you. Ballet is simply the frame for the deeper themes and plot points. The story follows Junpei Murao, who had given up his interest in ballet as a young child when his father dies. However, his passion is reignited when Miyako Godai brings him back into the world once she sees his jumping and athletic ability. While this might technically be considered a sports anime, since a lot of the focus is on ballet, there's so much more underneath the surface, and that's what makes the show so compelling. It touches on themes like toxic masculinity in both Junpei when he gives up ballet as it wasn't manly, and in Ruo, who in his introduction is forced to dress like a girl because of his looks and his interest in ballet. Despite that, Ruo still dances on stage to Junpei's amazement. On top of that, it's also about family trauma, codependency, self-image, and confidence, and so much more. It's an excellent view of the psychological trauma that perfectionism can create. On the other hand, the low self-confidence that comes from a parent who doesn't expect much from you. Sekko Boys was absolutely a meme machine when it first came out, and it's absurdism at its finest. As with most meme shows, once a new meme show came out, the last one was promptly forgotten. Sekko Boys centers around an idol group, the Sekko Boys, that consists of 4 talking, singing sculptures: St. Giorgio, Mars, Hermes, and Agrippa, who is managed by recent art graduate Miki. The premise is ridiculous, and each episode has Miki doing her best to deal with the issues that come with these 4 statue men, including their horrible mobility and scandals. The show certainly isn't for everyone. You either love or hate the absurdist humor. If that is something you like, then the show really leans into it and offers plenty of comedy that will keep you rolling. There are plenty of jokes that reference what the statues represent, like St. Giorgio getting a bit of advertising fame due to his facial expression, which he then admits that expression came from when he was facing off against a dragon, or Hermes, known as the god of thieves, who holds a secret sermon where he sells steel bolts that allegedly have lucky powers at a huge price. There's also some Japanese cultural jokes where the group is invited to a show that is very similar to the famous Tetsuko's Room, who is basically the Oprah of Japan. It's amazing how much they are able to make these stone faces so expressive by adding little things like sunglasses, subtle stubble, and so on. And each statue has their own personality and vices. Definitely don't come here if you're looking for an overarching theme or amazing animation. After all, the statues don't do any dancing, since they are literally statues. While it has kind of been forgotten, it has recently seen a resurgence due to its absurdism, and it's seeing a weird, ironic comeback on meme subreddits. In the world of cooking, there seem to be 2 sides: the high-stakes shonen cooking battle shows, and the more slice-of-life iyashikei shows. Wakako-zake falls into the latter. The anime follows 26-year-old salarywoman Wakako Murasaki, who explores the various local restaurants, pubs, and stalls for some Japanese food and a bit of alcohol after work. Each episode is about 5 minutes long, if that, so the food and drink are put into the forefront, though each episode does give you a brief glimpse into Wakako's life and work. There's a live-action show with the same name, but personally I prefer the anime more due to its short format and the great voice acting for Wakako by Miyuki Sawashiro. The slight huskiness and deeper voice really sell that overworked salarywoman vibe. On top of that, I like that the show really just focuses on the food and drink. We learn a little bit about what is being made, in some cases getting a basic recipe for the dishes, and then, the best part, getting Wakako's reaction to the drink-food combo. When she enjoys a dish, she releases a happy pushu, but it changes each episode. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes she adds something at the end, like in the Okinawa episode where she goes, pushu-sa. It adds character and a bit of fun, so we're not getting the same sound every time. I also like the fact that we get a brief glimpse of who Wakako is as a person, someone who's nervous about giving a presentation at work, active enough to go hiking, and has very strong convictions about how to eat salmon. And best of all, it's not a huge time commitment. You can watch the entire show in under an hour. Unsurprisingly, this tends to be the go-to for fans of cooking anime and iyashikei lovers. If you are looking for the definition of a hidden gem that prioritizes atmosphere over high-stakes action, Croisée in a Foreign Labyrinth is it. Set at the end of the 19th century, the story follows a young Japanese girl named Yune who travels to Paris to work at an ironwork shop in the Galerie de Lyon. The series focuses on the cultural cross mentioned in the title, the small, often beautiful misunderstandings that happen when East meets West during the Industrial Revolution. Despite being written by Junichi Sato, the director for Princess Tutu and storyboard artist for Karekano, the anime failed to reach an audience when it was released. It just goes to show that even having a talented cast doesn't guarantee success in the anime world. What I love about this show is that it's essentially architectural eye candy. The background art of the Parisian galleries is breathtaking, and the show takes its time exploring the details of the era, from the fashion to the shifting social classes. It's incredibly cozy, but it doesn't shy away from the reality of how difficult it was for a traditional Japanese girl to find her footing in such a different world. If you enjoyed the historical grounding of Emma, a Victorian romance, or the quiet charm of Hakume and Mikochi, this is a must-watch. While this is based on a manga, sadly it was never finished as the mangaka was dealing with health issues and passed away. It's a heartbreaking loss for the industry. While the show is beloved by those who have watched it, the search results for this show, especially in its original Japanese name, Ikkoku Meiro no Croisée, makes it hard for many to find, as when you search Ikkoku, you end up getting Ikkoku Nikki. And finally, we've reached the deepest cut on the list, Princess 9. If you're a fan of 90s anime aesthetics and a more shoujo take on the sports genre, then give this a shot. Released in 1998, it's an anime original series that focuses on girls trying to play baseball. The story follows Ryo Hayakawa, a talented pitcher who inherits her father's lightning ball pit, who is then scouted by the Kisaragi School for Girls to start a baseball club. What makes Princess 9 unique is that it has a great blend of the sports genre, where you see the girls train and play games against other people, and you have that classic 90s shoujo drama. There's a rivalry between Ryo and Izumi, not just on the baseball field, but also in love. And of course, there's a growth of all the characters, each of whom have their own personal insecurities and issues to deal with. While there are some melodramatic parts of the story which affect the overall pacing, it's still a unique and fun experience. I also enjoy the fact that this is a sports anime aimed towards girls, which you can really tell by the uniform and character design, and of course, that love triangle. People who have watched the show have mixed feelings about how it ended, but if you give it a shot, see how you feel about it, and let me know in the comments below. So, how many of these anime have you watched? Let me know in the comments, or tell me if there's something I missed that you think I should watch. Next week, I'll be providing a 3-episode review of Akane Banashi, which you can watch for free on YouTube, so make sure to hit that bell so you don't miss it. If you like this content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. And I will see you next week. Bye.